What the fuck was I doing? Oh yeah, I'm a commentator. So, in other words, I'm saying. Anyways, here's the context. Rap Critic did a list of the top 5 worst lyrics he's heard in March of 2020. Then this guy by the name of the flagged YouTuber The Second made a response to it. It's basically a commentary, but rather than trying to debunk the video, at least for the most part, it's giving his own perspective on the lyrics the Rap Critic talks about. However, regardless of intent, this video is still flawed in a few areas. Also, I get that the title of the video I'm covering does have April 1 in it, so someone might say that this is just an April Fool's video. However, I don't see the joke in this video since everything is played straight with not a lot of jokes thrown in. Now the reason for why he put April 1 in the title I don't know, but I'm still doing this video anyway.
Hi guys, Rap Critic here, and it's about that time to get into some of the worst lyrics I just happened to hear in the last couple of weeks.
Wow, I see YouTube money doesn't go far in Harlem. Also, do you have your own merchandise in the background? How narcissistic.
Okay, he has his own merchandise in the background. How does this affect the video? Like, this point just feels like it was thrown out there without any elaboration as to why it's a bad thing. You know, other than the fact that you say it's narcissistic, which you do realize that there could be a couple of other reasons for him having merchandise in the background that don't have to do with narcissism, right? Maybe he just wanted to advertise his merch. Maybe it was just for decoration and he thought it would look good for the video. Maybe it could be anything else. None of these are inherently a cause of narcissism, so this point is not only a non-issue, but it's also an assumption at best.
So this song is called HOE, which here is an anagram for happiness over everything.
Rap Critic, please open a dictionary, because that's not an anagram, that is a acronym. A anagram is when you take a pre-existing word and then make it into another word. Like the word cinema can be turned into the word Iceman, or the word God could be turned into the word dog. A acronym is what you meant. Like, you know, the acronym for, let's see, the acronym for NASA is like North American Space Association or some shit like that.
It's funny because the actual acronym for NASA stands for National Aeronautics and Space Administration. I will give you that your point is technically valid given how Rap Critic definitely fucked up his wording a bit, but at least do your research on your own examples before using them.
One day I started shooting some people in my neighborhood. I was killing a couple of guys.
In which she, oddly enough, takes its lyrics from a skit off of the Outkast Love Below album.
I hope she don't think that I think that she's some kind of hoe. I don't care, that just lets me know that she knows what she wants, yeah.
He gonna think I'm a hoe.
I know she think I just think she's some kind of hoe. I don't give a shit about giving it up on the first night. That just let me know she know what she want out of life.
Actually, that's not odd because Future Vandross is part of the Dungeon family. And you know who was in the original Dungeon family? Outkast! Outkast was in the original Dungeon family. And you know who's in the present Dungeon family? Like the one after like the 2000s? Future! And he also from Atlanta, so they have that connection too. So it's actually not that odd that he would sample somebody from the Dungeon family. Quite frankly, like basically musical kin at this point, if you actually did your research.
I mean, one could argue that Rap Critic found it odd because it was taken from a skit off of an Outkast album, not that it was necessarily taken from an Outkast thing to begin with. And considering that samples are typically taken from songs and not skits, it would be considered odd that they sampled dialogue from a skit of all things. Also, no, it doesn't make sense if Future would sample something from Outkast, cause that wasn't even Future singing at that specific part. The lines that Rap Critic's referring to are either sung by Miguel himself or Miguel and Janae Aiko. Yes, there are some parts where Future pops in, but he doesn't say the lines that were said in the skit of the Outkast song, so this point doesn't work no matter how you slice it.
The deuce balls in my mouth!
Yes, sir.
So this is the intro to the Carter 3, Lil Wayne's most commercially successful and by some people's measure, best album. And even I can admit, there are a couple of gems on this album, but it's got some undeniably clunky punchlines that it's hard to sit through. Like, people try to spin the fact that he freestyled this album or didn't write anything down to his credit, but it's kind of hard for that to not feel like it's to its detriment when you get to lines like the one that opened the actual album.
They can't stop, even if they stopped me.
A lyrical genius, ladies and gentlemen. That's not even the clunkiest play on words on this song alone. It literally sounds like he's going in circles at some points.
Me, you watch me, you watch me, watch me, bitch watch me, bitch watch me.
You know, Wheezy, I think we got...
So my interpretation of why Lil Wayne was being so repetitious on the Carter 3 is probably representative of the album cover. It has a baby, and what are babies known for? Doing the same thing over and over again. So I think it was like, you know, a representative of how he's, even though he's a veteran, he's still new to the game, and he could birth like new styles. Plus he was watering down and making his shit into pop anyway. And this was the peak of him being pop. pop. So yeah, that's kind of like my interpretation, but hey.
That's sort of a stretch, don't you think? Just because the album cover of the Carter 3 has a baby, that doesn't really correlate with Lil Wayne repeating itself. And besides that, aren't babies known more for crying and not repeating the same thing over and over again? A toddler maybe, but not a full-on baby. Oh fuck, I just made a rhyme. Also, just because there's a reason for the repetition, that doesn't mean that Rap Critic has to like it. And yes, I do know how you follow this up, and we'll get to that in a bit, but at the end of the day, what does this actually do? It states the reason for it, yes, but it really doesn't do anything to Rap Critic's point, so why is this point here? And adding on to this, Rap Critic didn't say that the entirety of the Carter 3 was repetitious, just a 3-peat was repetitious, so really you're basing your interpretation out of something that Rap Critic never even said.
I guess if you don't like repetency and stuff like that, then you won't like the Carter 3. But later on in this video, you do talk about punk, and what's more repetitive than punk?
I watched through Rap Critic's video, and nowhere in it does he talk about punk in particular. I guess you could be referring to the part where he talks about emo music.
They laugh at me because I'm emo.
Oh, so sampling the Backstreet Boys, that's emo? Not Fall Out Boy or Panic at the Disco, no. You chose to rep the emo label while sampling literally the most sunshiny 90s bubblegum pop song this side of a radio Disney channel? You wanna sample Zippity Doo-Dah while you're at it?
But 1, he doesn't mention punk in particular, which confused the hell out of me on my first watch of this video. 2, he doesn't talk about how he likes emo, he just said that the sample that Lil Uzi Vert used for his song That Way fell out of place because it sampled I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys, a sunshiny happy song where Lil Uzi Vert claims that he's emo. He just brought up bands like Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco to bring up samples that Uzi Vert could have used in place of such a happy sample. And 3, even if you say he did like emo, maybe he finds repetition emo to be a problem, but looks past it because of the other elements it has. I mean, you can like a certain style of music, but not like everything about it.
Would anyone care for my weenie? I know there's a lot of MCs, but just give me my chance on the mic.
Okay, I guess your boy Wyclef feels like proving himself today. I mean, for the most part, he usually has the energy of a dying blobfish, but hey, maybe in his earlier stuff he had a bit more ambition. So hey, look out, this isn't gonna be your average Wyclef verse. Excuse me? What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
Look, the whole donkey reference could be because in the beginning of the track he acted like a jackass. I don't know. You know. Honk honk.
But how can that be the case? Because in the context of the line that Wyclef said, he said that he'll make you walk like a donkey, which led to his wordplay of on and on. So this wouldn't make sense because Wyclef was not talking about himself in this specific part, he was talking about he'll make someone else walk like a donkey.
Why don't you do it like the rest of us, with your mom, or your dad, or your kindergarten teacher?
But okay, it's a pretty cheesy sample choice, but hey, maybe if you play into it, it could work, right?
They laugh at me because I'm emo.
Oh, so sampling the Backstreet Boys, that's emo? Not Fall Out Boy or Panic at the Disco, no.
Wait, Fall Out Boy is not emo. Neither is Panic at the Disco. Fall Out Boy is pop punk at best, and Panic at the Disco is like alternative or indie. When I think of emo, I think like Weezer or American Football. Those are emo bands, not fucking those people. Next thing you're gonna tell me Billie Eilish is emo, like, ugh.
Just because you don't consider Fall Out Boy or Panic at the Disco to be emo, that doesn't mean that they aren't, or at the very least weren't. Yeah, their styles significantly changed over time, but they are still associated with their emo roots, especially in their debut albums. With Fall Out Boy's Take This to Your Grave, and Panic at the Disco is A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. Unless you want to argue why those albums aren't emo, but you don't exactly do that. And even if you wanted to argue that they did significantly change their sound over time, they will still have songs that could be considered emo that Uzi Vert could have used to sample.
Give me the car. That was delicious.
Can't call 911 cause I'm in Reno. Give away my thumbs and I stood 3 toes.
I so many questions. Why would you give away your thumbs? And what does that have to do with your toes? Isn't the phrase 10 toes down? Does he only have 3 toes? Is he an alien? Why doesn't he think he can call 911 in Reno? Did he think Reno 911 was a documentary?
Alright, so let me start with the Reno line. So, he's doing a flip on the whole quote of, I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die by Johnny Cash, except he did it where he shot a bitch. in Reno, and now he can't call the police.
Where did you get the idea that it was a flip on the Johnny Cash quote? Because from what I looked up, the Reno line was supposed to be referring to the show Reno 911. If you have proof that this line was supposed to be a reference to the Johnny Cash line, I would love to hear it. Especially since I can bring what I just brought up against you and completely destroy your argument. And that's all I really have to say. For my final thoughts, all I have to say is think through your points before making them. I will give you that your video isn't supposed to be flat out debunking, or at least as a whole, but it will still help regardless if you want to do this type of video in the future. Anyways, that's all I have to say. This has been Slayer, signing out.